Hey everybody, welcome back to Freedom Algo. Now we're off to a little bit of a later start than normal. I had something going on, so zoom out real quick. Happy Friday. I have not marked most of the trades, so we are going to do that together today. But I'm going to wait a couple of minutes just for everybody to get in here. So give me a second just to message the group, let everybody know. Right. Just that we're live. All right. I'm just giving it a second for everything to update. If you're here in the chat, say hi. How's your Friday? How's your week? Let me know. All right. All right, looks like everybody's popping in now. Pretty wild day of price action, as you can see. We had a gap that we never filled from the overnight. Closed yesterday way up here. And we went way down. Trying to rally now. We zoom out far enough. We can see we even went lower than yesterday's low from the overnight. So, pretty wild day. Pretty wild day. Hey, happy Friday. Good to have you here. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a wild day of price action. So I'm going to map out a bunch of the trades because after this this last trade I took right here, I had to step away pretty quickly after that, and then I kind of was away for like the last couple hours. So I need to map everything out. So let me delete this stuff, get it out of the way. So basically, gap down and then downtrend. That's what we had. But the downtrend started as what looked like it was going to be a range. And if you draw a low off of this, like here, it sort of looked like it was going to be a range and we might rally. But you could see that the highs were getting lower throughout. So there was a bearish bias, even with it looking a little bit like a range. And then it just kept going lower. So I ruled out the range pretty early on and started drawing trend lines and trend channels down. And that's how I saw it. Now, unfortunately, the first trade that I see doesn't come until about 7:21. So about 50 minutes after the market opened. So all in here, I mean, let's see. Somewhere down here, somewhere in this move was like 5 a.m. or so. So it comes up and then it reverses here, but there's just not really any good trade setups because you have this move here. You've got a first entry, second entry long, no signal bar, runs up, runs down. Nothing really that good here. First entry, second entry short, nothing that good there. And here, real quick, let me do this. I'm gonna reload my data real fast, just in case the market has shifted on me a bit. So give me 1 second to reload my data. Because I did step away for a little while, and actually earlier I heard that disconnected connected thing from NinjaTrader, which means that somehow it disconnected me for a minute, so that, or a few seconds, so sometimes I can mess up the data. All right, give that a second to load. I probably broke my trend lines. Yeah, I did. Okay, I broke a couple of trend lines there when I did that. So let me just fix those. I just wanted to reload my data just in case there was anything weird that had come of that. So give me a second to just move these back. And let me fix this big trend line. Whenever I reload my data, it breaks everything. So just give me a second. Not breaks everything, but it moves a few of the trend lines. That's close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect for the big trend line. Okay. Back to it. So, we run down and we get a first entry. There is a second entry long failure here, but it's not really where you want one because it's looking like it might rally there. It hadn't touched the low, but it was looking like it might, so it wasn't really an ideal place to take a short. It had already had a close outside new low, so it's not a good idea there. Then we come down here, we get a first entry, second entry, third entry, fourth entry type of thing. No real setups in here, as you can see. Just no setups. There's a triple test, but there's not a good signal bar. This red bar is a lower high, so just nothing that good. SFX, hey, good to have you here. Good to see everybody in there. I see Neil Gina, I see Chris, SFX. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday. So I'm just going over the price action that I saw this morning, and then we'll get to the trades I marked, and then we'll mark the trades that I hadn't marked yet because I was away. So we'll get to those in just a minute. All right. So then we run down, and we get this move down. We get a close outside new low here. Then it keeps going lower. So I drew a wider channel. It's all first entry type stuff, though, so no good setups in here either. You do get a first entry there. And then you get a second entry, but it's an inside bar. So nothing there. You know, first entry, it's kind of inside bar. Then another inside bar. It's just nothing. Can't take anything there. Finally, we get a good one here. So now we have this close outside new low. But I drew a wider possible channel here that gets confirmed off of this touch. So it was so bearish that I'm thinking we're probably going to keep going lower here. We're back to the EMA here. So you actually get a first entry right here, and then you get a second entry short after it breaks below this kind of inside bar. Then you get a pullback lower high after a second entry short, and it hadn't moved very far by the time that formed. I mean, basically barely a scalp. So plenty of room to the lows. That's a good one. I marked it yellow only because you already had a close outside new low of this channel, so you don't know for sure. This is basically a double bottom here, so you can almost treat it like a first entry, second entry short on its own. So I really like it. So I did take that one, and I did take a screenshot of that trade while I was in it and posted that to the community. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, it's in the chat and description. So SFX, you said... Okay, so SFX... Yes, I take second entries and failed second entries near key levels. So you're wondering, after a break of a trend line, what's the key entry point? Well, it depends, right? So this was a break of a trend line, and then we had a new key entry point because we had a wider channel confirming here, right? So that's a new key entry point. And then occasionally, I don't think we have any good examples of it yet today, but sometimes if you get a break of a trend line, it's not exactly that you're using a key entry point. You're taking a trade to ride it to the new extreme. So that is sometimes what we get as well. And sometimes there's more than one key entry point because you might have like a level, right? This isn't an actual level. I'm just using it as an example. You might have a close outside, and then you can treat it like there might be a triple test zone that is after the break of a trend line, and that becomes a key entry point. So usually there's at least there most of the time is a key entry point that you can use. If there is no key entry point, because maybe you have a situation like where you got a close outside and then the reversal's happening in no man's land, then those can be a little bit riskier, and you can always just skip those. So that's up to you, and up to the way that you kind of look at the market and whatnot. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question. If you need more clarity, let me know. So then this runs down, first entry there, first entry there, first entry there, nothing in here. That's a first entry, second entry short, but now you're above the EMA here. You're not looking to take that. It's too aggressive. The move is too aggressive, and this trend line could be wider, very slightly wider, and it still fits decently. I mean, even if I draw it like that, right? Like if I just drew it, you know, I'm not saying that this is correct, but like you could see that that doesn't really, that still kind of fits. So I was thinking here, you need really a lower high back below the EMA if you're going to go short here. And it ends up just going higher. Now, when it makes this one, you could look at this as 2 legs to a new high and trapping all the people who went short too early. So people went short on the second entry short here. This is basically a double bottom anyway. So you really want to look at that like a first entry. This is like a visual second entry short. So people who went short here got trapped, but then people who went long also got trapped. So this is kind of like a nice little trap in both directions. Room to the EMA. So if you took that, it's reasonable. I didn't take that trade, but it is reasonable. Then you get a first entry, second entry long, another trap, because down here, people took this lower high to go short, thinking that they were going to ride this thing down. They're trapped. So first people went long on the higher low. They got trapped. Then people went short on the lower high. They got trapped. And then you take that to the other direction. So these trades both here are examples of it not really being a key entry point. I dragged this level over, by the way. Like originally I had it like this, and this is a closeout side. So this is not exactly a key entry point. This one's definitely not a key entry point at the time. So those are examples of trades that are not really on a key entry point, but you're taking them for other reasons, for traps and whatnot. Okay, yeah, so SFX, I go over this a lot more in the actual course. I'll try to explain it the best I can on here, but obviously we're in a live stream. It's limited how much I can show you here, but I'll show you here, for example, like in the course, I know that in here, I cover trends pretty extensively. I cover it here. I cover it in the advanced structure section. Trend lines and channels masterclass. I have a masterclass in here that's really long that I went over it. And there's a bunch of stuff in section 8 of the course where I go over it all. So that's all in here. If you want to try it, you can check it out. There is a 7-day trial, $99 a month, but then it's a 7-day trial. So, sorry, it's a 7-day trial, then it's $99 a month for the full program. But what I can tell you about these is that as you're kind of looking at trend lines here, sometimes you widen it, sometimes you look for maybe like a spike in channel or a new channel. It's all based on the context and what the price action is showing you, and it comes with experience of being a chart reader. So I'm sorry that I don't have a quick answer or a more in-depth answer, because it would take me virtually hours to try to show you all the possible ways that you would look at that. And that's why I have it all on the course. So, but yeah, it comes down to your discretion on how you read the market. Sometimes it makes sense to widen a channel. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it makes more sense to look for a spike in channel as a new channel. Sometimes it's an entirely new channel, or there's a range or something like that in between. So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you can SFX. So the way that works is, if you join, it'll give you a 7-day trial, and then what you do, and I don't know, someone actually just joined yesterday, so I don't know if that's you, but when you're in there, you can, in school, you can click on your profile icon, go to settings, and right in there, there's a section that says, like, when you click on your settings for the Freedom Algo community, there's a little link that'll say, end trial early. And if you click on that, you can end your trial early and become a paid member. And then if you do that, I will just manually grant you access to the course so that you don't have to wait like for the 7-day trial to end. So I'll just manually grant you access to it. So yeah, you'll get access that way. And so if you join and do that and you don't see your access, you'll be able to send me a DM right on school, and I'll just do it for you right away. Because otherwise it makes you wait the 7 days or whatever for the full course. But there you go. All right. So yeah, look forward to seeing you in there. And let me know if you want to do it while we're on the call, or sorry, while we're on the stream, go for it. And I will, and then I can help you out while we're on stream. That way I can get your stuff all set up for you. So if you want to do it while we're on stream, just feel free to use the chat and we'll go from there. All right. Let me get into some of these other ones. So then we have a downtrend still here. Yeah, for sure, SFX. All right. And I've had several people do that. I used to not have a free trial, but I wanted to implement that so that people could really like make sure that the community is a good fit for them and not have to lose money if they don't. So that's why I did that. I wanted to make sure that people had a way of checking things out. But obviously, I don't want to make it so that the full course is available on people for 7-day trials. So they could start creating a bunch of fake accounts and all that sort of stuff. That's just mitigating that risk. But you still get access to a ton while on the trial too to make sure you like it. All right, so we have this channel working higher. It does reject off this level, which was a channel that I drew from here, coming down through this touch, and then that touch kind of confirms there. Now, this thing just goes aggressively reversal. So as this thing came down, you get a first entry long here. Then you get a second entry long that fails. Now, I took this trade. It is not for everyone because look at the low. By the way, I refreshed my data so it looks a little different now, but not that much. The low of this candle is 5 ticks from the actual low. Now, that's significant here because it's just enough room to take the trade. Because basically what I was expecting here was that we would tick and make a new low. So I entered this trade 1 tick below this bar, 1 tick below the bullish bar, because I knew that anyone who took a second entry long there, they had their stop losses right here. Here, you know what? Let me actually find it. Let me see. I know I took a screenshot of this one somewhere from today. Where is it? Is this it? No, this was the earlier trade. That was the runner that I had on the earlier trade. This one was here. So you can see when I took this trade, I got in 1 tick below that bar that I was just showing you. Stop loss goes 1 tick above the bar next to it in this case. And it stopped me in to the trade right there where everyone's stop losses were. Now I had to sit through this for a second before it touched the level, but I was expecting it to come through and then give me a runner, which it actually did, and it gave me a really, that runner was kind of crazy when that happened, because what ended up happening was it pulled back a little bit first, and this is why I left my stop loss where I did, and you can see it came up, then it went through on this one, and it filled my order, and then it just took off. I didn't even have time to move my runner. My runner was like somewhere down in this zone, and the thing just went boom and just smacked straight into it. I don't remember exactly where it was, but you just saw it on the screen, so you can go back and look. But it was there, and I didn't even have time to move it because this thing printed so fast. I mean, these candles printed in like 3 seconds a piece. This one printed, let me see. Yeah, this one printed in 1 second. Then this one printed 3 seconds later. This one was 4 seconds later. So I didn't even have time to move my runner. It just got smacked straight out on the limit order, which was nice because it was a nice trade. And then I was done for the day at that point. So now I can get into if I see more trades because I haven't plotted any of these yet. So let's take a look. If you got questions, by the way, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And we'll go from there. So we come up, we get a close outside, first entry, second entry short here, but you're not looking to take a short there. I think you got to be patient here and wait for a more significant move. We're in an uptrend here anyway, and then it gets a close outside, doesn't make a new high, and then it starts going lower here. So this is all close outside, move to new low on this trend. It kind of turns into a flatter channel here. You can see this, but so you kind of have that flatter channel, and you also still have this wider one. You have to keep moving the lows though. That's the only thing. So now it's kind of like a rangy price action here. So we make this low. Now we do come up. We get a first entry, second entry short, no signal bar. Lower high has no signal bar. So nothing in there. First entry, second entry long, but you're not looking to take a long there in my opinion. This is a really bullish bar, but I don't think you want to deal with that because the tail on the stem on the top. There's a second entry short, no signal bar, nothing here. First entry, second entry long failure, but that's not really where you want a failure. So really just nothing there. First entry, there is kind of a second entry short here. So you have a new low, you have a first entry. There's this big bearish bar, and that's kind of a second entry short, but it's in this up channel, so you can't take that. The lower high is not appealing because you don't have a new high made here. You're not off the top of this possible channel. It ends up coming higher here, and I just don't see anything there. First entry, there is a failure here. So you do have from the high, first entry, second entry long, failure. I don't have a trend there. You could argue for this as a failure. It's not ideal where it forms, but I mean, if you were looking at this as a possible channel, it's there. I don't think this is an ideal setup. It's like a C setup. C. It's definitely not an A or A plus or a B or anything. It's a C, probably a C plus setup. So I mean, it's there. It's a failed second entry long, new high, first entry, second entry long, failure. You could get in right where everyone's stop losses are. So pretty decent, but I don't think it's ideal. Hey, KP, good to have you, fam. So then we get one here, runs down. So then we get first entry short, second entry short. This is a second entry short. I don't have this drawn, so let's see. I mean, you just came off the lows. If you take the second entry short above the EMA, I just think you're playing with fire there. I don't think it's worth it. And to be fair, like, you could draw this like this. So to me, it's not very convincing. So I'm going to skip that. And the thing about looking at this in hindsight, because I came back from like I was away from the computer for a couple hours, I don't want to I don't want to be like, oh, this looks good in hindsight. I want to think about how would I be looking at this in real time, because I'm not even going to mark it if I wouldn't have taken it in real time. Okay. Lucid, you said, when I have a small channel, do I count from the highest high or the most recent high inside the channel? Count for what? What am I counting for? Are you talking about second entry? I need a little bit more context, so just give me a little bit more context on what you mean. Also, if you see what you're talking about on the chart today, give me some timestamps and I'll pull it up, because I'm not quite sure what you mean. All right, so then we have a first entry, second. You're not looking for second entries, but there is a second entry there. Nothing good. Then it just rallies. So when it just rallies from here, you got to draw your short-term trends. So you got a short-term trend up, a little flatter channel, and then a wider channel. And the first thing is there's a failed second entry short here, but you're not really, you're too high up to take one. Okay, counting for second entry longs. Okay, so you count from the most recent high to count for second entry longs. So in this case, like right here is the most recent high. There's a high here, right? So let's actually use this as an example. So here's a high. So you got a first entry, second entry, third entry, fourth entry. Now it pulls back, and then you get another high here. This is now your new high right here. Right here. This is your new high because it went higher than this swing before. So this was your high before that you were counting from. Now this has played out to here. So now we pull back, we get a first entry, new high. Pull back, first entry, new high. Pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry, then it makes a new high here. Then a new high, pull back, first entry, new high. Pull back, first entry, pull back, second entry, new high, pull back, and then it keeps going higher. So it's like that. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so anyway, you can't look for a failure there. You're too high up. And you have this downtrend. Now it just breaks straight through. So now you get a close outside, first entry, second entry, but no signal bar to go long. That would have been tempting if this signal bar was better, because you are looking for a new high on this little channel. You might get a new low still, but you'll probably make a new high first. it ends up running all the way up here, and then you get a pullback, first entry, pullback, second entry long, failure. But I think it's dangerous to take a failure right there. You're kind of in no man's land, and you're shorting the absolute low of that move. So I don't think you want to take that. Then you kind of get like a third entry long that just takes off here. It's not really a setup. It is a close outside new low. So there is that, but I think you need a higher low. And the higher low is this red bar, which you can't use. So you have to let it run. And now we have this wider channel confirmed. It moved a little bit on me, but here, let me fix it. And you run up to here, you make a new high, and you get a first entry, second entry, inside bar type stuff. That's weird. It's not really anything you're looking for. It's kind of a visual second entry right here, but it's too congested right there. I don't see anything there. Now we got a new high here. We broke through this trend that I had possibly drawn from the highs up here. So at this point, I think we just have to stick with this channel up. We're breaking out of this thing. We're not really reversing. So maybe that trend was never really going to come into play. We'll see. We're probably just going to continue in this upward trend for now. So now we have a new high here, and we do have a pullback. We have a first entry long here. That's all we got. In some ways, we have a second entry long here. I didn't see this print in real time. So I don't know for sure. But this is actually kind of a second entry long, possibly. Like I said, I didn't see this print in real time, so I don't know for sure. If you had a new high here and this thing came down, if this candle broke above and then below and created an equal low and then closed up here, then this candle kind of creates a second entry long. I don't know for sure if it did that, so I'm going to mark it as such, but just keep that in mind. I didn't see it print in real time, so I don't know if it played out like that or not. But it's sort of a second entry long. Not the ideal type, but it is there. If you got questions, drop them in the chat, everybody. All right, 10 a.m. Let's look. This is 10 a.m. Nope, sorry, that's not. 10 a.m. Are you talking about Pacific time? I'm on Pacific time. So that's another question. I'm on Pacific time. So for me, this is 10 a.m. Somewhere in here. Right here. So I need to see what you mean. If this is what you mean, I'm having a hard time following why you would look at that as a new high. You have a new high here, pullback, first entry, pullback. There's a second entry long, pullback. It's kind of a third entry inside bar, fourth entry type thing. Yeah, I mean, no, like if you're counting second entries, this is your new high right here, which is at 948. And then you get a pullback, first entry goes to here. The next swing doesn't go above the first entry, so you don't have a new high until right here. This one at 10:07, that is a new high. Even though it's lower than this high, it's a new high because it's above the other swings. So this becomes the new high. Then it makes a first entry, new high here, pullback, first entry. There's a second entry long right here, actually. But I don't know that you want to take that where the way that forms, it's kind of, I don't think you really want to take that. I think it's risky where it is. And then it makes a new high anyway. And I cover that all so in depth in the course, by the way. Like, there's like hours. There's literally hours on second entries in the course because I've done master classes on it that are in there. That's all in there. So if you just sign up for the Freedom Algo membership, you can get access to all that. Correct. Correct, Lucid. That's correct. That's how I'd look at it. There's nuance to it, but that's for the purposes of the stream, like, yes, that's correct. I'm not going to go into every nuance because that's like the type of stuff I cover in the course. And it's just there's too much there'd be too much to try to say. Good questions though, everybody. We got a small crew today. Not a lot of people on the live stream. I'm streaming later than I usually do, so people are probably like, what the heck is that? We don't got the usual suspects here, it looks like. It's holidays too. I know a lot of people are on vacation. Some of the people in my community are on vacation right now. They were already telling me that, so. I would say now is definitely the time. Now is definitely the time to lock in Freedom Algo. If anybody hasn't tried it yet and you're wondering, feel free to ask questions. If you want to know like what's involved, feel free to ask questions. I'm happy to show you around the school community if you want to know more about it. I did the trial for that purpose so that people could like navigate around and check it all out and make sure that they like what they see. It's definitely December. Price action slows down a bit this time of year. Volatility's still there. But, you know, yesterday was a sweet day. I do the live streams on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in the school community only, and we do them on Zoom. They're more like live stream coaching calls. So those have been really good, and so those are happening. So I'm still streaming 5 days a week. It's just I'm only doing YouTube on Mondays and Fridays. Any more questions? I'll hang out and wait. If there's not a lot of questions, we might end up ending the stream early. We'll see. We'll see. I'm waiting for us to come back to a key entry point. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Lucid, that is mostly correct. Of course there's going to be a limit, right? Like at a certain point, the number of contracts you're trading, I mean, theoretically could affect the market, but I mean, you would need to be trading probably thousands for that to happen. Like I've never had issues. Even when I've like done like a 20 contract, I didn't have any issues. You will have a couple of things where your limit order might fill a few and not the whole thing unless it ticks all the way through here and there. But like for the most part, no, like you're not going to move the market if you're a retail trader. But like, yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done though. Like even increasing your size by 1, it changes things dramatically. Everybody has thresholds, and sometimes they take longer to break through than others. Like, you might find yourself trading, let's say, 10 contracts for a long time, and it might take you a really long time to have the right mindset to go above that. Some people can move faster than others. It just depends on the person and all that. That's unique to the individual. Not really something that I can speak to necessarily, because that is always unique to the individual. No, not me. I don't want to trade all day because I know that I'm going to have losses if I do that. Every time you enter a trade, you have the risk of being wrong. So, I don't know. I mean, earlier in my career, I liked to trade for a lot longer and take a lot more trades. Now, I will not take more than 4 trades in one day. Because I know that if I do, I start to... It's similar to the account size thing. If I start taking more than 4 trades in a day, my performance goes down. And also, I just am not as sharp as the day progresses with my trading. It's like I'm more precise and strategic early. Let's say I have 4 wins, I'm going to be way more loose in my mindset if I try to take a 5th trade. I just know that about myself. And yeah, I'm sure that I could overcome that if I wanted to, but I don't really... It's just like... It's just not how I want to do things. I don't want to stare at the chart all day. The longer I'm staring at the chart, the more likely I am to start like getting bored or not really feeling as sharp, not as locked in. It's everybody's got different inclinations, you know? It's kind of like this. Scientists have found that different people are more productive at different times. So a lot of people are very productive the first couple hours of the morning. A lot of people are and even if they don't think that they are, it actually is one of the most productive times for most people. So like they found that, like, for example, office workers who work like 9 to 5, a lot of times they are the most productive in their work the first 2 hours of their workday. And then it progressively slows down and gets worse and all that stuff. And that's why a lot of people try not to have too many meetings first thing in their workday, because if you're in meetings for your most productive actual work hours, well, now you just spent your time doing meetings, unless you have meetings that are productive because of like the type of work that you're in or whatever, like if you're in sales or something. But if you're like actually, like, let's say you're a software engineer and you're highly productive the first couple hours of your day, well, it's better for you to have your meetings in the afternoon then, when you're less productive anyway, right? So the point that I'm making here is, if that software engineer works for 12 hours, it doesn't necessarily mean that they got so much more done than if they worked for 8 hours. That's why there's a limit. Now, if they get that first 2 hours of the day locked in, they might accomplish a ton of stuff that pretty aggressively starts to slow down. I've seen this when I was running companies and all of that. And it's not that different with trading. Like, I'm very locked in the first couple hours of the session, and then I progressively start to drift, right? I become less interested, less precise about like the way I'm looking at the price action, because I get bored. I want to do other stuff. I just like, that's how it is. So I find that I try to lock in on that productive time, and then I focus on other things. So that's at least how I look at it, but it's different for everybody. You kind of learn that as you go on, that it's really not worth it to try to sit there the entire day. If you love it and you can stay locked in, more power to you, go for it. But that's not why I do this. I do this because I like it to be I don't want it to be a full-time job. I want it to be very part-time, but make me a lot of income from a part-time effort. And then I can like focus on other things I'm interested in, like playing music, learning other skills, doing fun things like snowboarding, like all that, hiking, going outdoors, working out, spending time with loved ones. Like I want the freedom in my life. That's the whole point. But the greed can be a motivator for some people. They just want to make as much money as they possibly can. The challenge is if that's your mindset, that can actually be detrimental. So you'll find the balance. You have to do a lot of deep inner work on yourself to figure out what that looks like for you. We're forming sort of a little range here. Any other comments or questions or anything? I'll wait and just drop it in the chat. Yeah, exactly, Lucid. And I mean, like, you'll start to figure out what your thresholds are, man. Like, you can get burnt out pretty easily staring at the chart all day. I can tell you straight up that most of the time that I have a loss, it's because I was waiting for a long time for a win or a trade, and then I got impatient and took something questionable. Like, honestly, that happens. So if you're watching the chart all day, through the lunch hour, all that, you're just going to have that happen to you. You're just going to do that. Like, our minds, we're not perfect as people. We're flawed, you know? We're flawed, and we'll make mistakes. We will. That's just how we are. We'll get impatient. There's so much that goes into it. Hey, that's awesome. I appreciate you giving that feedback, Diego. Really cool to hear that you're doing that, following along, simulator every day. That's the way to do it. Trade on the simulator. Don't risk your money. Trade on the simulator. Just do it for a long time until you really feel like you've got everything down. It's not worth it to go in too soon, and just don't let greed be your motivator. Just don't. Sustainability is more important in this than making a bunch of money really fast. I literally have people who reach out to me sometimes and are like, hey, I'm thinking about joining Freedom Algo. I'm really looking to like replace my income. Like, do you think that I'll be able to trade in like a month? And I just tell people, I'm like, listen, you got the wrong mindset. Like, you should be thinking of this like, hey, I want to learn how to do this, and I'm going to spend several months trading on a simulator to really understand if I can actually do it. And like, I'm like, don't quit your day job. You know, like, that's the wrong mindset. You want the extra, if you put pressure on yourself to have to make money very soon in this, you're not going to be one of the 5% who succeeds in trading. Like, right? Like, there's only 5% of people who like succeed in day trading or something like that. That's what the stats say. 95% of people don't make money doing it or whatever. Or some stats say 90% don't. Some stats say something else. But if you are getting into this and then going, I'm not gonna have income, and I'm gonna try to make money off this very quickly within like the first month or two or whatever, you're probably gonna have a less than 1% chance of actually doing that, because you now have a greed motivator and like an extra pressure that you're putting on yourself, and you're going to have the wrong mindset for how you have to approach this. You have to be so patient to be a trader. Like, it sometimes honestly is boring. I don't want to curse, but boring AF. You fill that out. It's sometimes very boring to be a trader. Like, people think it's exciting, and it can be exciting at times and whatever, but that's not why. Like, you realize at a certain point that you actually want it to be boring and for it to be very like monotonous, because when you get to that point, then you are probably doing well at it. When it's very exciting, you're probably not doing very well yet. So that's like, it's like, you don't want it to be the most exciting career. You want it to be almost like the most boring career that you can spend a little bit of time on, and just, you can handle that boredom and patience, make your money, and then just call it a day. Like, that's kind of how that is. And that's why I work on other things. And that's why I learn other things. I focus on other skills. That's why I do like the teaching aspect of it, because it gives me other things to focus on and like to do that aren't just trading all day. I can't do that. And also, to be honest with everybody, I can't just trade for like 2 hours and then not do anything else. Like, I am just too much of an entrepreneur for that. So I'm always learning other skills, working on things, consulting, doing other stuff with other people. There's a lot of things that I like to do because just how I am. I sold a company at one point and thought that I could like semi-retire. I couldn't, dude. I was losing my mind, with that. I couldn't do it. I like, you know, you could. I was going snowboarding all the time and it was fun for a little while, but eventually I'm like, man, I gotta build something else. I gotta do something. And then that's when I started to figure out like, okay, I'll build a course and teach people how to trade. I'll do that. And now I'm learning even some other stuff that's totally outside of trading to work on and whatnot. I've done consulting with people on their businesses, like all that, because I just need to stay sharp. I need to stay sharp, and I like to have other things going on. So that's how I look at it. That also removes a lot of pressure for me, right? Because I've got other things that I can work on. The more pressure you put on yourself as a trader, the worse. So that's how I see it. Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely a problem solver. I really am. I love it. Like, I love handling, like, for example, like my partner, she's building a business. So I just love helping her with that, consulting with her, all that, because that's like where my original expertise comes from. Like, I studied a lot of different things. Like, I got my MBA. I worked in a business for a long time, and then I built a company. I built it, sold it. Like, I'm very much into business, and so I love that stuff. Coaching with other people, other entrepreneurs, other men in different ways. Like, I love that too. I just love helping people in different ways. So that's like where Freedom Algo came from. Is like, all right, well, I'll help people learn how to trade. That's not going to be like the end all. Of course, I'm going to do other things because that's just who I am and what motivates me. And I think that's important. And I think with trading, if you have another source of income, another career while you're learning it, that's ideal. If you're trying to get into this to learn it as a skill that's going to make you money and replace your job very quickly, you're in the wrong space. That's like trying to become a doctor quickly. It just isn't a thing that you can even do. It's not what people want to hear, but it's the truth. It's a highly complicated skill that takes a lot of time to develop. That's just the truth of it. All right, everybody, what do you think? Any more questions? Because I'm probably going to wrap up here soon. Price action's moving kind of slow. We did just bounce off that trend line. That seems to be holding pretty well. So at this point, there wasn't a setup to take a trade. It's just a first entry there. But we could start to look for continuation here. Yeah, I agree with that, Lucid. I agree with that. I mean, that's like the thing for me. Like, trading's a way for me to support lifestyle and everything, but ultimately, I like to help people, work with people, help people. Yeah. It's also boring when you're just working by yourself all the time. That's what trading is. You're just lonely. You're just alone doing it on your own. It's like, it's rough, to be honest, in some ways. Like, you're like a solopreneur with nobody to talk to about it, right? That's why I have a community, and that's why it helps me even just teaching people, just being able to talk to other people and have like colleagues, essentially. That's just how it goes. All right, well, I think that I'm going to wrap up here. We're about an hour, almost an hour in. Price action's getting a little slow here. I just keep in mind that we're still cruising higher in this trend. So that's what I would stick with for now. Just go from there. Hope everybody had an amazing week. I'll be back Monday. Monday, the stream will be at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. So I'll see you all then. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. And I will see you all soon. Have a great weekend.